entitled Medial version 4. It's a preview of the new version of our software, which is now called Medial, previously known as Helix Media Library. Just to say, my name's Rob Thomas. I'm CTO of Streaming Limited. My details are there if you need to get into contact with me. Also on the call today is David Lowy, who's Business Development Director at Streaming, and David's details are there as well. I'm out of the UK, as my accent would indicate, I guess, and David's out of the US. So for all of the US customers that are on the call today, David is going to be getting in touch with you pretty soon, and he'll be your contact ongoing. Just a few quick program notes for today. The first thing to say is I've been relatively unlucky today in that I'm in the UK, and actually today is something that we call bonfire night, which is basically a night where we celebrate letting off fireworks. So you might hear some noise in the background with people doing that. So if you do hear some explosions in the background, that's what it is. It's nothing to be worried about in particular. The other thing is today for the webinar, we're using a system called GoToWebinar, which means that we can record the webinar firstly, so we'll make the recording available afterwards. The other thing as well is you can ask questions through the interface. So if you want to ask questions throughout, I won't answer the questions as I do the presentation, but at the end of the presentation, we'll take a look through the questions and we'll answer the ones that we get time to do. I mean, we may not get time because there is actually quite a lot of ground to cover with this presentation today. So that's us. Let's start with an introduction. So this is really just to cover what's happened in the last year or so, really, and just bring everybody up to speed, because there's quite a long story going from last year and how we got to where we are now, which is a great position to be in, and we'll talk about that in a second. But this is what happened. So the first thing to say is that most of the people on the call today were historically customers of Real Networks with Helix products. And what happened was around this time last year, Real Networks decided to discontinue licensing Helix products to end users, and they sent out communication that their customers that use the Helix Media Library, which is most of the people on the call today, would be directed to us, Streaming Limited, for kind of ongoing support and development of that product. So Streaming, who are they? Well, that's us. We were the people that were making the Helix Media Library software. So Real Networks were making the bits that underpinned our software, which was the Helix server, which delivered the content from A to B, and the Helix producer, which was the encoder, the thing that converted the media from one format to another. But we were making the media library part of it. So as a result, what happened was anybody that had the Helix Media Library, which is most of the people on the call today, were referred to us as makers of that software, and we were tasked with supporting those customers ongoing, and obviously to continue the development of our product, which was the Helix Media Library. So we're a UK company, although we obviously have presence and customers in lots of different countries all over the world. I mean, there's over 30 different countries that we've got customers in, and the software that we've made today, which is the Helix Media Library, has won awards with the Streaming Media magazine, so a kind of reader's choice magazine as well. So that's who we are. What's happened off the back of that is we continue to develop and support the Helix Media Library software pretty much for the whole of this year up until now. But one of the things that Real Networks wanted to ensure was that the Helix Media Library brand would be changed into a new brand, because obviously their Helix line of products is now sort of coming to an end. So we've rebranded. So the Helix Media Library from now on will be called Medial. Quite simple. And this is the new logo, a new brand, very clean, very simple. So as part of that, there's a new website, which is medial.com, very easy to remember. There's a new help site where we've got all of the documentation and bits and pieces related to this new version. So that's help.medialibrary.com. Our support portal, where you can raise tickets and do all the stuff that you would have done before, remains unchanged, although it does now redirect to the Medial website. So you just go to pam.medialibrary.com, or you can just continue to email support@streaming.co.uk. A lot of people just do that to create tickets. Streaming Limited as a company, as I intimated before with David, is that, one second, I don't believe anybody's seeing my slides at the moment. Is that right, David? Can you unmute? Okay, that could be a problem. On the chat, yep. Apologies, everybody. So I'm not going to start again, but I'm going to run through those slides quickly. So me and David on the call today, an introduction, real networks going over to streaming, as I said. Streaming, UK company, lots of customers, lots of different countries. And then we've gone from Helix Media Library to the Medial brand. And now here are all the details of the new websites and bits and pieces that we've got going. And then Streaming Limited, as I intimated, and David's just gone on the line there, we now have somebody out of the US, which is great, which is something that a lot of our customers had requested. Because we were a UK company, we needed to have that kind of local contact and support for you as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play a very short video just introducing the Medial product and brand to you. It's around about a minute, and I think this just gets over the point of what Medial is and what Medial is about. So I'm going to play this video now.
Media is being produced in ever larger quantities by educators and in the enterprise. Medial is a media management system that provides an all-in-one solution to help organizations handle this increasing throughput and demand. The definition of Medial describes something that is situated in the middle, and our name defines perfectly what we do. Medial can act as your enterprise YouTube and sit in between those that want to publish content and those that want to view it. Within the virtual learning environment, Medial sits in between teachers and students, allowing the creation of video-based assignments and submission of video for assessment in industry-leading systems like Blackboard and Moodle. Medial can also provide the bridge between lecture capture systems and classes of students by facilitating one-click bit red button recording. And lastly, Medial can allow you to protect, schedule, and publish your live events for playback on all devices, whether live or on demand. So whatever your media strategy is, and whoever is producing and viewing your content, let Medial be at the center of what you do.
Okay, thanks everyone. So the next thing to say about Medial as well, which is an important thing to say at this point, is that the Helix Media Library was using the Helix server, which was the Real Networks product. And obviously, because that product has now gone end of life and isn't something that's going to be supported in the foreseeable future, then what we're going to do with version 4, which is what I'm going to be talking about today, is we're going to be using the Wowzer streaming engine, which is just an industry standard streaming server that most people will be aware of already, and that is going to be the streaming server that we're going to be using from version 4 onwards. Anybody that's under a valid upgrade and support contract is going to get this as part of the upgrade anyway, and the upgrade path is super simple, so it's not something that you need to be worried about this kind of change from one to the other. So, major new features that we've got in version 4. The first one, live streaming. Now, I'm going to do a small demo of this in a second with David. But what this is to summarize, is that now within the Medial interface, we can display live channels, live streams. So whereas before the Medial system, or Helix Media Library as it was before, was a video on demand system only, now it's going to be a live system as well. And we're going to show a little demo of that in a second. What it allows you to do is pretty much use any encoder that you've got, and then any input that you're putting into that encoder. And then what Medial will do is it will protect that live stream in the same way that video on demand content is protected by AD or LDAP, for example, which is the way most people use Medial to protect content. You can schedule the live stream to be available at a particular time and date. And more importantly, any live channel that you put through Medial, if you define for it to be archived after the event, you can do that as well. So it's quite a cool feature, because what it means is you can do a live stream, and at the end of the live stream, when somebody clicks stop on their encoder, then you're able to archive that off to Medial and put it into a category within the Medial system. So I'm just going to quickly show how this works. So this is my Medial system here, and I'm going to go into the administration part of Medial, and I'm going to show you how to set up a live channel. Make this browser a little bit bigger so that we can see it. So here's the new tile, the live streaming tile, and then within this we can set up live channels. So if we go in here, we'll see a whole load of live channels that have been set up before. I'm going to add a new one. And within this, you can see I can set a name and a description, but I can also set a target category. So this is the category that the stream will be archived to. I can decide if I want to archive it or not. And then all of these details here are pre-populated when the Medial live streaming feature is set up. And then Medial generates for me a file name for the live stream, and that's what I put into my encoder. So these details here, I put into my encoder: the server name, it's normally the ports that you put into the encoder as well, and then the file name. And then you can decide the way you want the live streaming playback page to look, whether you want to hide things or show things, for example, a Twitter feed or the embed code, or a link, an RTSP link for Android, for example. You can also define the thumbnail that the live stream player has. Then what you can do, if you want, you can schedule when you want it to be available, or whether you want it to be always available. And then you can define the groups that have access to be able to see that stream, or whether you want everyone to be able to see it. Then once you've got your live stream going as an administrator, you can preview it. So that's how you set up a live stream. If we go back to the library, we should be able to see all of the live streams that are set up here. If I go to live now, and then what we'll do is, if David starts his live stream going on his channel, he's using a live streaming application on his iPhone. It's called the Wowzer Go Coder. You can check that one out as well. It's a really cool app. I'm going to go to David's live stream. He's told me through the chat he's ready and it's going. And then I just click here to play the live stream back. And you'll see there's a live broadcast out of David's window in Long Beach, California. What a lucky guy. Out of my window, it looks absolutely nothing like that, by the way. So there we go. That's how easy it is to do a live stream through the Medial system. Now, once the live stream has been stopped, what happens is it will then archive it out to a category. So we'll see here, here's some test ones that me and David were doing when we were preparing for the webinar, and you'll see here David's live stream has got archived out to an archive category that we set up. And the streams come in here and they get encoded as we go, and then they're all added to this list here, and they're archived out to a category. So it's a really super simple way of setting up a live stream. We're generating a live stream name, file name for you, and then you're putting that into your encoder, and then it's just going through and putting it into Medial, into a category, which is super cool. Okay. So just to illustrate this live stream feature, I've got another short video to show you on live streaming. Great. So hopefully that illustrated how the live streaming functionality works. And yeah, if you want a further demo of it, then get in touch with us, and we're more than happy to take you through it. So the next feature to talk about is webcam capture. So we've had a great deal of requests for this, really because we have a lot of people use our system with two LMS systems, which are Blackboard and Moodle. So people generally wanted to be able to create their kind of short form content by just talking into their webcam. Mostly teachers and students wanted to be able to do that. So we introduced webcam capture. So if somebody comes through Blackboard or Moodle, they will see this icon here that they'll be able to click on to record the webcam. So historically, they'll have had an upload new media or choose existing media. Also, anybody uploading to the system, regardless of whether they're actually in Blackboard or Moodle, will also have this record webcam link available in the upload wizard, which is quite cool as well. And what sort of experience do they get? Well, they get the ability to record the webcam through the browser. They can record video or just audio if they want to as well. So some people are a little bit paranoid about recording videos of themselves. They just want to record the audio. And what you can do as well is you can crop the recording that you do as well. So you can set a start and an end time. And then the remainder of the upload process is exactly the same as it has always been. Improvements that we've made to the software as well. So the first one is something that more kind of administration people will be quite pleased about, rather than end users of our system. So now, rather than having two applications that would allow you to install the software and then update it later on, we've built both of these things into one application. So we now have an installer updater. And that will allow you to install Medial from scratch if you want to, using it, and will also allow you to update Medial if you already have it installed. So you don't really need to worry about running lots of different applications to be able to do stuff, and it'll also allow you to uninstall Medial if you wanted to do that. You could do that through the same application as well. The other quite cool thing as well is we now have the ability to install what we call a transcoder instance as well as a full Medial instance. I'll come on to what a transcoder instance is a little bit later because it's more part of the latter part of this presentation. But it's basically something that will speed up your transcoding. It's sort of a separate product that we're launching along with v4. So the first really cool thing that most people will be really happy about is that the transcoding performance of Medial is greatly increased over Helix Media Library. So in the testing that we've done, we've found in general, although it's a very hard thing to monitor, that the new transcoding performance is around about a third quicker. It can be up to double the speed as well, and sometimes even above that, dependent on the file that you upload. So that's something that's going to be very welcome for a lot of people, because sometimes the transcoding queue could build up because of the speed of the transcoder. The next thing to do with transcoding as well is that it's much easier to kind of customize the transcoding profiles now. So a lot of the feedback that we had from people was that because we were using the Helix Producer product, you could only customize the encoding profile in terms of the audience file that was on the server, and this was, would only allow you to do very, very limited things. Now we've developed the transcoder so that you can completely edit the profile to whatever you like within the bounds of what we would support, obviously. So if you are going to make some customizations, let us know. But within that, there's a kind of full command line that's exposed that you could actually make amendments to, because I know some of the more kind of transcoding enthusiasts amongst our customers were quite interested to do their own tweaks. So that is largely possible, although like I say, if you want to do something in that area, let us know. We'll see whether it's something that we can support ongoing. The other thing that you can do as well, as an administrator, you didn't used to have the ability to assign uploaded content to particular individuals. So this is quite useful. We got this request from quite a lot of people where they wanted to upload the content to the system on behalf of someone else, and then they wanted to allocate that content to a particular person within the system, so into that person's personal category. So that can be done now. When you come through an administrator, you see this kind of little head icon by the category drop down, and then you can assign it to a particular person. It's quite a cool feature. The other one as well, it's a small improvement, but it's one that people will like a great deal, is that in the past, we've had a kind of yes or no encoded, and you've had to kind of wait for the file to encode. Now we increment up in real time in the content or media listing view, and you'll see it incrementing up each percentage as it's transcoded, which is really, really cool. And it's great if you're kind of testing something, or if you want to see the speed that something's coming through. On the playback page, we've changed the copy link slightly. So whereas before the copy link to the page would actually go to the page within Helix Media Library, or Medial as it is now, and you would see the entire page with the embed code and all of the stuff around it. Now the copy link goes to a page that just has the media player on it. It's a full page media player, so it's more similar to the way YouTube works in that respect. The other cool thing as well, and a lot of people ask for this, is we've now got responsive embed code, which means that when you're embedding it in different environments or different screen sizes, it will respond to that. So we'll use 100% of what's available, and we'll use a 16:9 aspect ratio. And we've done that by upgrading the version of JW player that we're using within Medial. So we've upgraded from, I think, we're on version 5 to version 6. We also now, in version 4, give students the ability to select from their personal category. So this is really only of interest to people that are using our software with Blackboard or Moodle. But in the past, what had happened was students would only be able to upload a video and not see a body of work being created within Medial. Now that's changed. You can make it so that students can upload video and also choose from videos that they've uploaded in the past, which is, quite a cool feature that we didn't have before. So moving on to Blackboard and Moodle, the integration improvements that we've had. So with Moodle, you'll now see that obviously we've got this new icon that will appear on the menu. So rather than having the Helix icon, it will have the Medial icon. If you need to put the old icon on there, then we can help you to do that. But all new versions of the Moodle plugin will have the new Medial icon. We've eliminated scrolling from the launch pop-up because that was quite annoying for a lot of people on different size screens. They found that they had to scroll down on the pop-up, and it wasn't a very good user experience. So we've eliminated that. We've kind of made everything a bit smaller in the pop-up. We've made it much more usable on the iPad as well, because we found, not that we thought people would do this, but we found that a lot of people were using the Moodle plugin on the iPad and wanted the ability to use that on that particular device. So we've improved that a great deal. When the pop-up within Moodle shuts down, you can now put a custom message as it shuts down, because we had a lot of people that were saying that students, they wanted to put a message to the students once they'd submitted their video to say that they had to click save on the Moodle page, for example. So that's something that you can put on there, and you can actually do it in HTML. So you can put arrows and pictures and what you want the student to do on the shutdown screen. And then we've got a feedback plugin that's actually coming soon. So that's going to allow the teachers to give video feedback to the students' response as well. Blackboard, again, same thing with the pop-up. We've eliminated scrolling from that pop-up so that that's not there anymore. We QA'd one of the latest service packs on Blackboard as well. And we did a lot of bug fixes related to different browsers. So Blackboard in particular has a lot of issues with Internet Explorer. And we've kind of gone through a lot of those and corrected those. Although a lot of people tell me you can't even use Blackboard on Internet Explorer. Although we can generally use our plugin on it. And then obviously both Moodle and Blackboard have got the inclusion of the webcam capture and student selection of content as well, which is great. Other improvements we've made, and these are more to do with deployment options for the Medial system, other than actual features that we added. But these are things that you need to bear in mind if you're kind of wanting to scale your solution or make it a little bit more fault tolerant or resilient. So the thing that you can do now is you can run Medial as a load balance pair. So we had a great deal of people that were running Medial. It was becoming kind of very mission critical service to them, and they wanted to put two Medial instances together, load balance them, so that if one went down, the traffic would go to the other one. So this is now something that is totally possible with the product. You obviously need to buy additional license to do it. If you just go to a load balance system, you do actually pull the transcoding throughput, because each one of the Medial servers will act as a transcoder as well. The next thing that you can do, and I've intimated about it earlier when we were talking about the installer data that we have in v4, is we now have some Medial transcoding instances. And what these are is they're a very lightweight version of the Medial software that pretty much does one thing. It just does transcoding. So we've already had customers that have upgraded to this and have deployed this because it was something that we were working on at the latter part of v3 as well. But what it allows you to do is deploy on different bits of dedicated hardware that sit around your current Medial license, and all that they will do is transcoding. Medial knows how many transcoders are there, and each one of those transcoders will hit the transcoding queue. So if you've got a queue of content building up, and you've always got kind of 5, 10 items always in your queue, you can just throw more transcoding power at it. So the Medial transcoding instance will do that. And it's great when people have got kind of virtual environments, because what they do is they can just spin up another put the Medial transcoding on it, and that will hit the just the coding. And that's much lower license than the full Medial system. If you've got a problem with throughput, let us know and we'll talk to you about that. And there's a combination of both. Again, we already have some people deployed it in this way, where you have a load balance pair, so you've kind of high availability setup that's very resilient, and then you run your transcoders around those as well, scalable transcoding as well as high availability and load balancing. So it's kind of, this is kind of the advanced deployment, that's what we call it, and that's available as well. Obviously, more licensing involved in that, but if you're going with something that's got lots of transcoders and a load balance, then we can talk to you about discounts and all that. And then the other thing that we sell as part of our migration Wowzer stream is that Wowzer has a very cool technology within it, media cache, and we've enabled Medial to work with that. It means that if you roll out a kind of distributed environment where one Medial server centrally located, and then you had lots of like sites that had, for example, then what you could get, you could deploy these Wowzer streaming engines at all of those sites. Everybody would the main Medial server, but the would be pulled from the edge. So this is more for kind of people that have limited bandwidth and want that structure so that it will cache the media as well. So yeah, that's available. So that's the v4 run through, the options that we've got available, as well as all the new into the product. If you need details on anything that I've spoken, the Medial website is a great for all this resource, as well as the help.medialibrary.com, on Twitter at